everyone. I'm sorry I haven't come back here with a part 2 to my reading update in a while, but that's okay. And partly because of, well, I'm going to talk about a book that won't be of that much interest to people. I mean, some people will be interested, but most of my viewers probably, well, they might want to hear me talk about it, but I don't know how many of you will actually go out and buy the book. So yeah, it's a hard one to talk about. And the book I'm talking about is this tome in 3 volumes by the German playwright and novelist, and also filmmaker and artist, Peter Weiss. Peter Weiss's dates are 1916 through 1982. And this work of his that I am attached to right now is The Aesthetics of Resistance. And basically what you need to know about this book is it's an anti-fascist masterpiece. And it was written, I am peering at my notes here, between 1971 and 1981, as I said, in 3 volumes. And as I have been researching it, I know that the first 2 volumes are now out. They didn't get published until very late. The 3rd volume isn't even out in translation yet, but it's coming out in translation. So there's sort of a resurgence of interest in Peter Weiss. I'm trying to describe how it is committed to a left-wing view of the world, if not Marxist. And he was a Marxist throughout his life. He saw Marxism as a way of being a humanist. And I kind of am interested in committed left-wing people, not in terms of pro-Stalin or anything like that, but the other person whose novel I will come to talk to you about again in a while, because I'm just taking such a long time, is Margaret Young, the American writer who wrote this very long novel. She also has, I wouldn't say she's Marxist, but she has definitely an interest in a left anti-capitalist view of the world, I think. It's hidden a little bit, but it's coming through in the fact that she ends up writing a biography of someone called Eugene Debs, but I'm not talking about her in this video. This video is about Peter Weiss. So, okay, first a little bit of biography. I'll just, let me look at my notes here about him, because it's a very interesting biography of someone who, you know, as I said, 1916 through 1982, but yet he didn't live in Germany for very long. His father was a Jewish Hungarian, but a Czech citizen. And his father was always, as I could sort of discern, a successful capitalist. He had textile companies wherever he went. And I think from an early age, as far as I can gather, or fairly early on, Weiss became a committed anti-capitalist, one has to say. So whatever you want to call that, communist, Marxist. And his mother was Swiss, and they did live in Germany for a while in Bremen, and then the father, I gather, moved away to, I think, Czechoslovakia, and then they moved around too. They were in England for a while, but he ends up living and moving with the family, but not exactly at the same time, to Sweden, and he becomes a Swedish citizen. And a lot of his life was making movies and working hard to become a part of the Swedish intellectual scene. He apparently felt quite isolated and as like an outsider in Sweden, you know, probably during the war too. So he wasn't in Germany when all the terrible things were happening. So that's a little bit about his life. And the novel, The Aesthetics of Resistance, is basically about a group of real people, and the narrator is a version of him, and so someone who wasn't really there, but has decided with this work of fiction to kind of dedicate it to this group of committed anti-fascists, young men in Germany during the fascist regime, during the Nazis, during the 30s in Nazi Berlin. And he gives us kind of, we see them and their families. Some of the parents are in line with their thoughts, some others are not. But basically what he's doing in here is, it's about aesthetics, about art. And so it has long descriptions of artwork, and then views of history and art from a Marxist perspective. And I actually find that fascinating and not boring. It sounds really boring, I know, and for a lot of people this will be boring, but for some reason, the way I have to come back to, his writing is compelling. His style is compelling enough for me to want to read on. As opposed to, I keep coming back to the Musil that I had to let go because I just didn't get along with his style. But Weiss is a really good writer, for me at least. He works for me. It's slow reading, but it's completely enjoyable, and that's why I don't care that I'm going to take a long time to read this. What I will do is, read the volumes and take a break between each volume, and each volume is, of course, not as long as the whole darn book. The whole darn book it's even split up into volumes, so it starts recounting at the end of the first one. So the first one is quote unquote only 360 pages or 361 pages. And then it goes into the second one, which is just called second volume, second band. But I will split it up as 3 and try and even count them separately on the bookkeeping. And that will make it a little bit less onerous for me. And honestly, I'm only on page 63 right now. But I love it. I really love it. And I love that it's a committed work, committed to anti-fascist, my heart really goes out to these young men, and there's a mother, so there's one woman, who are living their lives, who are deeply committed to an anti-fascist approach of life. They're communists, basically, but they're under the chokehold of Hitler's Germany, and they're trying to survive, and not only survive, but do good, meaningful things. And I'm in a section right now where they're talking about how, despite the fact that they have to keep going and work these terrible jobs that they have to work in, and despite the fact of having to live very, very sort of strange, secretive lives because of their committedness, their hatred of the regime, and yet they're right in Berlin at this time. But and not only that, it's not about surviving for them. It's about educating themselves about art, about history, about how to get something out of everything. Specifically, the connection of history to art is of interest to them. But they do see it through a lens of where is the worker, and sort of Marxist terms like the means of production. So when for example, it's very interesting to read it in 2023. It starts out with the fantastic Pergamon altar in the Pergamon Museum in Berlin, which is an amazing work of art. But their whole take on it is who made this work of art, and also there's a passage of how the German engineer, I think his name was Humann, it's an interesting name, Humann, in the 19th century. He had it all shipped to Berlin, and the only reason that happened, it's peak colonialism, is that at that time Germany was sort of after Germany had come into its existence, I think 1870s, and it was all about, okay, yeah, we're a power, we have money, we can be representative, so sure, let's bring this work of art from Turkey, I guess, to the new Germany. And they do go into even how much money was paid to the Turkish people in power, and how it was how that corrupt regime, didn't really do much with the money. They paid 300,000 marks for this work of art, which apparently was, not what it was really worth. This is a work from the 70s that's really kind of honing in on, where do these works of art come from? And also there's sort of discussions about who made going back into history, who was responsible for creating this work of art, and what are the auspices under which it was created. And I'm really here for that kind of stuff. I'm really here for that. It's sort of, on the one hand, outdated, on the other hand, extremely topical to what we're going through right now in a certain sense. And I'm really here for it. And as always with me, the only thing that will keep me going through this extremely dense work of German fiction, it has pages like this. I mean, he doesn't even have chapters. It's really just one long thing. I love the style. I love the writing. I am compelled. I'm already kind of invested in these people in this book, even though they're really characterized. It's a really strange novel because it really is, there'll be these little poetic glimpses of where they are and what setting they are, like in someone's kitchen, and then there's a beautiful sort of description of the mother that I think that's part of the sentence I read out. Oh, I've been called to dinner. But And then it will go into these digressions about history, and it's sometimes sort of, he'll always kind of connect it to one of the narrators, one of the group, and sometimes he'll kind of, the narrator himself will be talking. I think I'm going to leave it there. I know it's kind of off the cuff and very quickly, but it's, so this is a committed work of anti-fascist fiction that is really kind of hooking me in, and I'm loving it so much, and I will continue to read it slowly and tell you about it and try and tell you a little bit more about the author too. He's mainly known for his play that I know that Jack the Rambling Raconteur has talked about on his channel. The play is called The Persecution and Assassination of Jean-Paul Marat, as performed by the inmates of the Asylum of Cheriton under the direction of the Marquis de Sade. It was from 1963. That's really famous, and I haven't read that, but I'm reading the big fat novel right now. I will let you go, and just wanted to get that out there. There's 2 other works that I need to talk to you about. One of them I'm almost finished. I might wait till I'm finished with that one, and then I'll come in with a new update on what I'm reading. And yeah, I'm gonna put this out there. Probably not many people will be interested in it, but I need to tell you what I'm reading about. So that's that. I'll give you another update soon. Bye, and thank you for watching.